Breakfast sausage making day. Got about a 7.5 pound pork butt. We're gonna run it through the meat grinder today. We're gonna get it seasoned. And make some breakfast sausage. So about a year ago, I posted a video on creating the perfect breakfast sausage recipe. And I went through, I spent hours probably on the computer going through finding every decent breakfast sausage recipe I could find on the internet. I took all of those recipes and I threw them all into a giant Excel spreadsheet. And I tried to figure out, of all the breakfast recipes out there, what are the most common ingredients across the board, you know, like sage. When you think of breakfast sausage, if I came across a recipe and it didn't have sage in it, I probably didn't look at that one. But I took all of this information and all this data and I put it into a spreadsheet and found out what's common. What is the most common ingredients that people use in breakfast sausage. And I put it all together and we tried it. We posted a video about it. I'll link that video up above for you in the iCard. But I've been out of breakfast sausage for about a month now. I thought, well, I'm gonna be making some. I might as well get the camera out and take you guys along with me. So I'm gonna finish getting this chopped up. We'll run it through the grinder. We'll get it seasoned. And then when we get all done, we'll cook some up and we'll try it. There we go. Hoping this will all fit in one container. Yeah, should be okay. So this pork butt was partially frozen before I started, so it's really going to help in the grinding process. Much better than if you try to use something that's not froze all the way. It'll keep it consistently a lot better. A lot of people will even freeze this portion of their grinder before they start, so it's super, super cold. You want to prevent bacteria growth, so keeping your temperature cool, and safe is important. So I think for the purposes of mixing, I'm going to put it in 2 separate containers, and I'll just put my seasoning half and half. So I ended up with about 7 pounds of pork. Once it was all ground, once I cut the bone out of it, those big pork butts have a big bone in the middle, so that lost a little bit. And then there was some of the top pieces, that silver skin sinew stuff on the inside, which was also a loss because you don't really want that in your sausage. But I'm adding crushed sage. This is stuff that Rachel grew in the garden last year and dried. I like to crush it up to make it kind of powdery. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Gotta do a lot of math for this. So the basic on the recipe, the original video that I posted, everything was broken down into 1 pound of pork. So this is how much of this seasoning you use for 1 pound of pork. Since I have 7 pounds of pork, I need to multiply things out so that I know what I'm doing here. I think I'm going to do my math ahead of time and write it down on my piece of paper. That way I don't have to try to do math on camera because that's never fun. I like to do the same with my thyme and really crush it up. So when we did that first video, we started with a base recipe. And that base recipe was sage, thyme, salt, pepper, brown sugar, cayenne pepper, and red pepper flakes, and nutmeg. So that was kind of the base recipe that we started with, and then I totally lost count. And then we made 3 variations of it. That was 2. Where one we added maple syrup, one we added paprika, one we added rosemary, and another one with coriander. 4, 5, 7. And the one that we're doing today is basically the base recipe plus coriander, maple syrup, and paprika. We're gonna omit the rosemary this time. Next up is pepper. Just black ground pepper. Yeah, red pepper flakes. Nutmeg. I heard that smoked paprika would be really good, but we don't have this, just Hungarian. Coriander. I'm hoping I remembered if I said at the beginning of this video. I think I did. I'm going to try something different this time around, in that the last time I made my breakfast sausage, the patties, they didn't really stay together well. They were kind of loose. And I know that sausage patty maker, or not sausage patty, people that make sausage links a lot, they'll often use a binding agent in it to make the meat kind of stick together and keep its shape. And quite often they will use powdered milk. So I'm going to try it this time and see how it goes. And the general consensus across the board is if you're using powdered milk as a binding agent in your sausage to get it to keep its shape, it's about 1 cup for every 5 pounds of meat that you're making, or every 5 pounds of sausage. I have 7 pounds of sausage, and I'm kind of afraid to put an entire cup. It just seems like a lot. So we're gonna go with like 3/4. We'll see. Hope I don't ruin all my sausage. All right, cool. So ingredients are all set. I need to get my hands dirty again. I've already washed them like 7 times since I started this video, but once you touch it, it's like, okay, now I need to wash my hands again. So I'm gonna get this stuff mixed up as well as I can. Really well, in fact. And then we're gonna run it through the grinder again. And then after that, I'm going to put it in the fridge. And we're just gonna leave it sit in the fridge for 24 hours until probably the same time tomorrow. I'll get the camera back out, we'll cook up a patty, we'll see how its shape stays, and if it stays good and we like the flavor. Oh, I totally forgot maple syrup. We need to add maple syrup to this still. If it does keep the shape like I want it to and I like the flavor, I bought some of these little patty things, like for making hamburgers, you know, you like put them in between. It's like 1,000 pack on Amazon for like 10 bucks. I'm gonna make up all my patties, and then we're gonna freeze the whole thing. And then once it's frozen, I'll take them and put them in like individual Ziploc bags so that when I want breakfast in the morning, I can go in the freezer, pull out a piece of sausage, cook it up on the stove, make some scrambled eggs with some cowboy candy. It's my kind of breakfast. This is Rachel's maple syrup she made. I'm supposed to measure this. Like 3 teaspoons, but whoa. It's gonna be extra mapley now. Oh well, it's Rachel's favorite. She'll enjoy. I'm gonna keep mixing just a little bit longer. There's something about the way the fat molecules change the more and more you mix it that also helps in the binding process. And I have a guy, there's a guy that I work with who was telling me about sausage and different binding agents and stuff like that. He was telling me that his secret ingredient that he uses as his binding agent instead of like powdered milk or something is coffee. It's like coffee that you would drink. He'll pour in like a cup of coffee per 5 pounds of sausage and mixes it all in there. Sounded interesting. I don't really like coffee though, so. Took me a little bit. I was missing a piece. There's a little plastic bushing that goes in the back of the grinder where the auger screws in, and I was missing it, so it was not working for like a long time. But we got it all ground up through the coarse, first and second grind I did on the coarse plate. So hopefully it gives my sausage a little bit more chunk to it. I'm going to toss this in the fridge, leave it refrigerate for 24 hours. We'll come back tomorrow, continue filming. We'll cook up a patty. We'll taste it. We'll make sure we like it. We'll get it pattied up and thrown in the freezer. Well, as discussed, it is the next day. My sausage mixture has been in the fridge for just about 24 hours now. I think basically we're doing that to give the seasoning a good amount of time to blend in and really absorb with the meat. Blend all those flavors together. First one should be done here in a second. Texture-wise, it seems like that powdered milk really made a nice difference in the texture and the way the meat's holding together. All right, that's done. We'll let that cool off. I'll make 3 more of these. Oh, some exciting news. Rachel just left the house. She got a phone call from the post office. And our baby chicks are here. Our meat chickens. So she should be back here in a little bit with some new family members for us. At least temporary family members. Till they go in the freezer. They're Cornish cross. Same thing we did last year and the year before, and I think the year before that. I think this is this will be our 3rd year raising meat chickens. So to make these little patties, you just put one little piece of paper on the bottom, one little piece of paper on the top. Ideally, in a professional commercial scenario, these would all be weighed out so they were exactly the same, but it's for me, so I don't have to do that. But once you get them all laid out like that, how you want, you just take a plate, find one that works good, kind of push down on it. And that'll turn them into nice little patties for you. And just make sure you try to at least push them all down the same so that your sausages have some consistency to them. You don't want some that are like super thick and then some that are super thin, and then if you're trying to cook multiples at the same time, some are going to be done way before the others. It's had a lot of time to cool. Definitely tell I put in extra maple syrup. Yeah, the texture seems really nice. Holds together well. I think I'll continue to do the powdered milk thing. Man, I missed my breakfast sausage. It's so good. These will go in the freezer. I'll get the rest of this pattied up. I'll make sure that of the end card videos that are on your screen right now, at least one of them points to the original video that I posted about this. So if you're interested in more details about the recipe and how I came up with it, you can check that video out. And the description of this video also has the recipe that we used today broken down into 1 pound of meat. So thanks for watching. See you guys later.